Most Americans agree, the economy feels terrible. Nearly every consumer sentiment survey and political poll echoes that view. People feel like their money isn't stretching as far as it used to, and the cost of living seems to be rising beyond their means. Here's the catch, that feeling isn't entirely true. In fact, most Americans are receiving raises that outpace overall inflation, a trend that's been ongoing since June 2023. So why do people feel financially strained even as their incomes grow? Several factors are at play, most of which affect our perception more than our actual wallets. Wage gains are slowing as inflation picks up again. The pandemic altered our collective psychology, giving Americans a brief taste of financial security that quickly eroded during the inflation crisis. Prices for unavoidable necessities are rising faster than overall inflation. Wealthier Americans skew the data. This is what economists call a wind-chill economy. It feels worse than it actually is, and for many, it's deeply frustrating. Wage growth is slowing. The inflation crisis hit Americans hard. Between March 2021 and June 2023, prices often rose faster than wages, sometimes by historic margins. But that trend began to reverse in mid-2023. Raises started outpacing price increases, boosting paychecks across all income groups, not just among the wealthy. The gap peaked in April 2025, when paychecks rose 4.1% over the prior year while prices grew just 2.3%. However, that advantage has narrowed in recent months. Inflation reached 3% in September, while wage gains slowed to 3.8%. Median income for working-age Americans is now near decade-long lows when adjusted for inflation, according to J.P. Morgan. Even though workers are technically ahead, rising prices are starting to feel closer, and the perception that money doesn't stretch as far as before is creeping back. The goalposts keep moving. During the pandemic, many Americans enjoyed a taste of financial security. With less spending on travel, gas, and dining out and significant government stimulus, households saw pay increases far above inflation. In May 2020, average wages rose 7.5% over the prior year while inflation stood at just 0.1%. For a brief period, Americans enjoyed substantial purchasing power, which fueled revenge spending and a surge in consumer confidence. But when inflation soared, the financial landscape shifted. Housing markets tightened, mortgage rates rose, and the dream of affordable homes for first-time buyers became elusive. By June 2022, inflation had hit a four-decade high of 9.1% while wages grew only 4.8%. The financial security many Americans thought they had achieved quickly disappeared, leaving spending growth stalled. Not all prices are equal. Even as pay rises outpace overall inflation, costs for essential items are rising faster than wages. Food, electricity, child care, rent, and home prices have all increased faster than paycheck growth in recent years. Americans' wages have grown 29% this decade. But over the past 5 years, groceries and child care rose 30%, electricity 38%, rent 30%, and home prices 55%. People can cut back on discretionary spending like new TVs or vacations, but essentials are unavoidable, which makes rising prices especially painful. The K-shaped economy. Financial gains aren't evenly distributed. Wealthy Americans, with investments and home equity, have gained security. Lower-income Americans, increasingly living paycheck to paycheck, haven't seen the same benefits. Data from Bank of America shows high-income households saw wages rise 4% year-over-year in November, outpacing the 3% inflation rate. Middle-income households gained just 2.3%, and lower-income households only 1.4%, well below inflation. Although broader data may not yet fully reflect this, multiple retailers serving middle and low-income customers report decreased shopping and spending. Meanwhile, stores like Walmart and Costco are thriving, catering to cost-conscious shoppers. This is the Costco economy, says Heather Long, chief economist at Navy Federal Credit Union. People need to save.